All right, so we have all of the ingredients now to put together a reasonable approximation of a city. We just need to modify some of the settings. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to eliminate the influence of our noise, just so we can get a clear read. So I'm going to set this value to 0. The next thing I want to do is head over to the city center and set this value to 1. And the reason for this is we're using this as a multiplier to bump up the scale of our buildings that are closer to the center, and they are overlapping with roads and getting cold. So we're just going to drop this back down to 1. The next thing I'd like to do is jump over to the large building section, and we're going to increase this from a very, very low likelihood that a point gets chosen to be a big building to a slightly higher likelihood. So we'll try 0.05. And here we can see the result of that. It's interesting, but we don't really need all these bigger buildings out here. So let's go ahead and add an attribute filter after our random choice. And what we're going to be filtering for here is its city center value. So we'll say city center for the target attribute, and we want to pass through anything where the city center value is greater than, I don't know, we'll try 0.3. And the reason we're going with 0.3 is we are setting the minimum value here for our city center at 0.25. Right here. So we're not going to have any values that are below 0.25. So there we can see the result of that. Let's maybe drop this to 0.26 so we get a little bit more of a graceful fall off there. All right, looking a little bit better. Let's go take a look at our medium buildings. Something that I notice when I look at them is they all look like cubes. And that makes me think I may have a problem here in my transform points node where I have uniform scale turned on. I also think they could get a little bit bigger. So let's go ahead and set the larger scale, or the scale range here, to 20 at the max. And let's go ahead and set the random choice to maybe something like 0.1, just to get a little bit more fill in there. It's still looking a little bit sparse here in the downtown area. So let's just remove our self-pruning node on our medium buildings. Yeah, I think that looks pretty interesting. This kind of form is not super unusual to see, where you would have kind of a tiered building. I think that still feels pretty valid. The next thing I want to look at here is our small buildings. Let's take a look at the scale. So it looks like we've got that value set correctly. And I think we could probably go a little bit larger with these as well. So we'll set the max value and scale to 10. I want to see what it looks like without the self-pruning node in there. That seems a little bit better. They are a little bit on top of each other. So one thing we can try is to do a self-prune before we scale them up, and this may reduce a little bit of the overlap, but not entirely eliminate it. Cool. All right, so now that we've got all that worked out, let's introduce a little bit more noise. We'll try 0.2. Not much of a result from 0.2. We'll try 0.75. Yeah, that's looking better. maybe 0.5. So with that, I think it's, whatever. You can continue to doodle on this thing, obviously, for a very long period of time, but that's the general idea. So let's recap very quickly. We have looked at how to sample landscape data, how to sample textures and generate custom attribute data, how to set up a blueprint so that we can pass array data into a PCG graph, how to access that data with a loop graph, how to pass custom attribute data into a material, and hopefully just a general useful overview of how these systems work together. We have laughed, we've cried, hopefully we've learned something. I hope you had a good time. Thanks for watching.